First of all, thanks very much. I think Jean was the one that asked me to say something about WIOMSA. I was coming to this conference anyway, and I actually wondered when she did ask what kind of exciting research results in conservation I could report on. But clearly, I think the kind of within this sort of this forum, we're talking more about not only research as such, but management issues and what kind of initiatives are in place to support research in the region as a whole. So, yeah, I thought that I could come up with something. The timing was good as well, because we've recently secured funding for another 5 years, and we've put out a call for proposals. So it's an opportunity to also introduce that new call. And so I'll be going through that a little bit and explaining the kind of content of that call to this forum. And I think a bit of background as well. South Africa, and particularly one gets the impression also from this meeting, has got along very well on its own in the past. I know this from having worked within the kind of context of the South African situation. And now going out into the region, there has been some collaborative work, particularly through ORI with the Western Indian Ocean, and also obviously through Jean and her group as well. So there has been some history of collaboration, but certainly one gets the impression that in the past, South Africa has, I suppose, through historical reasons, kind of been quite self-contained in terms of the research it does. So things are changing. I think there's some very exciting opportunities for regional collaboration, particularly South Africa in terms of being able to lend skills to the region, technologies. Melita mentioned some of the issues that we do struggle with in East Africa in terms of just having the facilities and the equipment to do certain basic work in the marine field. So there's that aspect, and I think for the South African side, there's amazing opportunities to work on issues of connectivity with the region. I mean, these things are becoming particularly apparent now as a result of some of the work around the Gullis Current and what's going on in the Mozambique Channel, and the connectivity between systems further north and those in South Africa. Yeah, so I think we'll carry on, given a bit of a background of... Okay, there we go. So yeah, I think some of you have probably got quite a good background on what WIOMSA is. Some of you have participated in projects of a regional nature, funded through the organization. But I think also many of you haven't. So I'm going to go through what we are, what's the nature of the organization. Then I think just to look at our next 5 years in the context of our longer-term plans in terms of our strategic plan to 2020, and then how we fit into other regional initiatives as well. And then, finally, just look at the call for proposals and the emphasis that is going to be in that call for institutional collaboration. So a move away from supporting individual research initiatives to more of an institutional support. So that's basically what the talk is going to entail. Yeah, so really established in 1993 as a regional non-profit membership organization, promoting educational, scientific, technological development of all aspects of marine science, working in 10 different countries, including Réunion, and we attempt to work in Somalia, not very successfully at the moment, but we do have a couple of people that have really good information from there that do contribute to the work that the organization does. Okay, so promoting sustainable use and conservation of marine resources in the region, and WIOMSA has a particular interest in linking knowledge that emerges from research to management and governance in the region. Just in terms of an organogram, really the General Assembly is made up of members. We have about 1,000 members, individual members, and about 50 institutional members now. So we're really trying to build on the number of institutional members from within and outside of the region, and we're having some success in that. Board of Trustees oversees activities of the association in general, and the Secretariat, which I'm part of and based in Zanzibar, is responsible for the day-to-day running of the organization. We helped to a large extent by country coordinators. We have one in each of those countries mentioned, and we use them extensively to roll out in-country aspects of our programs. So really there's three main program areas that have been concentrated, and this has been fairly consistent over the years in terms of the overall program areas. Projects incorporate capacity building for coastal management, information technology, demonstration projects and extension work to do with communication. I'll talk a bit more about the proof of concept type of approach that we're trying to incorporate into our new call. And then in terms of scientific research, we do provide grants to regional scientists and institutions. Larger grants, we call the Marine Science for Management Programme, MASMA, and then smaller grants often to individuals that are quite useful in terms of getting people to conferences and in terms of trying to encourage collaboration between researchers in the region and with outside as well. Okay, so I think very briefly I'm going to go over what was incorporated into our strategic plan that we developed in 2005. This sort of gives you a bit of an over and a feel of where the organization comes from and where we wish to go. And really this new program that I'm going to introduce later is based on looking at the strategic plan and where we are in it, in the path towards that vision of 2020. I'm not going to read through this vision. It's got all the normal kind of components of a vision, but it does just indicate that we do have an endpoint which kind of fits into our funding cycles as well, and we try to fit our activities into the framework of the strategic plan. And we have our own vision, which fits very nicely into that plan as well. Okay, generally I think I'm not going to go through these principles in very much detail, but it does guide us in terms of how we operate. We obviously go towards that 2020 vision in all of our activities. We try to be regional, strategic, collaborative, and catalytic. I think that emphasis on regional is important there. We are acting almost as a research council in the region, I suppose, in the absence of in many countries, absence of that sort of body. I think in terms of the support for research in South Africa, we've got quite a sophisticated system that's been in place for a very long time. But WIOMSA really does fill that gap in many of the other parts of the region. Okay, and then we've been quite successful over the years in various spheres, and we obviously want to build on those, and basically the support of research, support of publication of research outputs through the Western Indian Ocean Journal of Marine Science. I'm glad to see Mike Schleier's here. He's in charge of that, editing of that journal at the moment. And yeah, it's capacity building for scientists, and more latterly now, capacity building of institutions where they need it, to actually manage and run with research. Okay, and then the last one, we obviously try to, being a regional body working within 10 countries, we try to work in a democratic, transparent, and equitable way so that we cannot, well, I think it's worked in the past. We are generally viewed as an impartial kind of organization, and it's quite interesting to be able to work with a variety of so-called groupings that kind of have traditionally not worked together, and we've often found ourselves in the middle in terms of being able to facilitate things between those groups.
5 minutes.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so the strategy had 6 strategic themes, if you like. First of all, fostering research excellence. We're not going to go through these in detail, but yeah, basically developing expertise in effective management and sustainable development. Raising awareness and enhancing access to relevant knowledge and information. This has been and continues to be a pillar of what we try and do. Obviously, it's one of the bigger challenges that we have working in such a big region, to try and share information between those, and we have language issues, cultural issues that need to be transcended. So that is a continuous thing that we're working on. Networking, cooperation, and exchange of knowledge between managers, researchers, and communities, and promoting, advocating appropriate policies and practices. So that's really a science to governments process that we also see as a priority. And then I think this is something that most organizations are facing now, but really strengthening WIOMSA in a very tough environment. We, as I say, I think we share with many other organizations the challenges of trying to make sure we're here in 10 or 20 years' time. We're surrounded by many regional projects that are very useful in terms of addressing more short-term goals, but there's very few that last a long time. And I think one of the things with WIOMSA is that we have been around for a long time, and we do provide that element of continuity for work that goes on in the region. So yeah, this basically is a normal strategic framework, but that vision that I talked about at the beginning, the 6 strategic themes, and then objectives and activities that feed into achieving that vision. Okay, I talked about sustainability, and I think one of our biggest challenges, and it's a major part of this new 5-year program, is to look at how do we make sure that we have a funding base to keep us going into the future. So that was part of what we looked at in the strategic plan, and we did a particular resource mobilization strategy in 2007 that looked at, recommended that we approach to achieve a goal of ensuring WIOMSA's financial future is secured in support of its vision of sustainable coastal livelihoods and improved management. Okay, so really, it's really come down to the fact that we cannot work on a 5-year kind of horizon anymore. We need to diversify our funding sources. We need to look for new partnerships. And yeah, look at one of the things we've done and which we feel is quite innovative is recently set up a conservation trust based in Mauritius. And we've been fortunate to get an initial investment into that trust. So we're looking at that as a mechanism, first of all, to cover our running costs within the organization, but in the long run also to contribute to research funding. So we see that as the way forward, and also encouraging other funders to come on board to support what we're trying to do. Just in terms of the regional context, I think that it's important to see where WIOMSA fits in. we do see ourselves as a supporting framework to the regional, or supporting mechanism to the regional frameworks. We have also national marine research institutions, projects and programs, and I think that all together working towards this common goal of improving the lot of resources and conservation within the region. Just in a little bit more detail there then. Basically, the main political frameworks that we work with in the region are the Nairobi Convention, which covers most of the states in the Western Indian Ocean, and the Indian Ocean Commission, which covers the island states. NEPAD, the IOC of UNESCO, the regional economic commissions, and various regional fisheries management organizations. So those are the sort of political level frameworks that we work within. And then here, we support those through working with partners, many partners here, as well as national initiatives and programs that happen at a national level, as well as the more transient but very important programs and projects in the region, which, I mean, these are incredibly important, but what I mentioned earlier was that it's these levels here that are really, in the long run, going to take us forward to achieving this sort of common goal that we have. Okay, so we then, based on that background, we looked at the new program that we wanted to launch into the next 5 years. We looked at all of our partners, spoke to very many people to come up with the sort of outline of that, and really to assess our progress towards achieving that 2020 vision for the region that we're talking about. And the following questions arose. Firstly, as I said, WIOMSA needed to be more efficient, effective, and relevant, and financially viable into the future, so that we could actually assist in taking this process forward. And then the other question was, how do we strengthen interactions between WIOMSA and the research institutions, management authorities, and research institutions, management authorities on a regional basis? So really, how do we catalyze and influence and facilitate greater interaction between those parties? And then, really, to remain relevant, what we found through that process of developing the new program was that we've been very successful in generating or supporting the generation of information in the past, but we really do need to start working towards changes in behavioral and socio-environmental on the ground. So really to see on-the-ground changes is the next challenge and the main aspect of our of the next 5-year program. Okay, so really the goal that we've set is to establish a common regional platform by the end of 5 years to advance and apply science for sustainable management of marine and coastal management. And then bringing together the different partners that I was talking about. And we want to ensure that a viable WIOMSA plays a role in that process. Okay, so the goal will be achieved by a very specific program that has various of these specific objectives. The first one is really looking at the institution of the association, looking at financial and organizational sustainability. The next one is to develop institutional capacity within the region that is working with research institutions, universities, government departments, and the various institutions to address these problems, conduct the quality research, and then also to be able to manage programs that lead to this behavioral and social environmental change. And then partnerships is obviously a very important aspect. As I've mentioned, we can't do this on our own, so partners are very important. 2 minutes. Okay. And then communication, I mentioned, was a cross-cutting thing that carries on throughout. It has been part of our strategy from the beginning as well. Okay, the research themes within this new program, we identified through that process that vulnerability, resilience, and adaptation to climate change was a key issue that we wanted to address, and then governance for the future also. Then coastal livelihoods and understanding how they work in the region was also seen as a priority. Then some cross-cutting issues such as ecosystem services, urbanization, and port development. Okay, I'll wrap up. Just an overview of how we got there from the early days in 2000 at the beginning of the MASMA program, where there's a lot of gaps and capacity needs to be filled, and then moving up towards where there's a focus on institutions and building the capacity of institutions rather than those individuals to address. And then just to finish off, the new call, there's these really focusing on institutions, and we are asking for 4-year programs or projects up to about $500,000 US, and there'll be a requirement of a cash or in-kind matching fund by applicants. We encourage institutions to submit one large project or several under an umbrella of research program focused towards a common research question. So the deadline for that is the 15th of December, and the full call is on our website at WIOMSA.org, so please have a look there if you are interested. Okay, I think I'm going to end there. Run out of time. So thanks very much for that. I hope you know a little bit more about what we are up to now.